Good day everyone! It's me, Francis Jane Piga, currently pursuing B2LED major in Home Economics. And for today's video, I'm going to demonstrate the different tools used in clothing construction. So, without further ado, let's start! In measuring tools, I have here tape measure and ruler. A tape measure is used for taking our body measurements, like here in our waistline. So my waistline is 30, upper arm here, sleeve length, and also tape measure used for drafting pattern, measuring fabric, laying out patterns on fabric, checking the sizes of hems, corners, and much more. Next measuring tool is ruler. Ruler is made from plastic, metal, or wood that help mark and measure fabric and pattern pieces. So sometimes I prefer rulers over tape measure when adjusting pattern pieces because they don't curl on flat surfaces, most especially for silk fabric. In marking tools, I commonly use tailor's chalk. First, we need to do is put a small corner or on the back side of the fabric to see how chalk will appear and can be erased before applying the rest of the material. Then, trace now according to your pattern, but remember that do not press too hard when using chalk because it makes unwanted marks on the fabric. The third category of sewing tools is cutting tools. Cutting tools are helpful to cut out from paper, fabric, and thread. I have here scissor, thread clipper, and seam ripper. So this is a scissor and I'll show to you how to use it. First, we need to do is lay out our fabric and the pattern is laid out correctly. Then start pinning it. Make sure that you pin every edges so that the pin will stay still on the pattern. Next step would be the cutout. You see, the pattern of the paper lays nicely in the fabric. And then, cut along the paper. Make sure that you don't cut into the paper like this. And that's how to cut a fabric. Next cutting tool is seam ripper. First step, hold the fabric with the seam facing you. Then, gently pull on the fabric until you see the stitches. The third step is stitch the pointed tip under a stitch that needs to be removed. The first stitch is always the hardest one to pick out, so be careful that you are catching only the thread and that you don't poke through the fabric. And here is a thread clipper. The uses of this is to nip excess thread and parts of the fabric that have unraveled. So I'll show to you how to use it. This is a thread and we're gonna cut this like this. And for the stitching tools category, I have here threads, needles, needle threader, thimble, and pin cushion. So thread, the basic function of this is to deliver aesthetic and performance in stitches and seam. Next, we have needles. There's a lot of types of needles, but I have here embroidery needle and chenille needle. An embroidery needle, this is usually what we use as a normal embroidery needles. They came from sizes 1 to 10, while chenille needle, this needle have large eyes and very sharp point, and the hole is large enough to accommodate ribbon and other thick yarn. This time, I'm showing you how to use needle threader, which is helpful when you've got very small hole in your needle. Next tool is thimble. Here, the first thing we need to do is find one that fits and then wear all the time, so it starts to feel like part of your hand. Then, take the needle, pinch it with your thumb and your forefinger. And now, you are going to dip your needle gently into the fabric, and then with your hand and the needle is going to engage with the fabric, and all in your fingers are going to gently push the needle through. And then, the thimble is actually going to come behind it, and the thimble is going to push the needle. And for the last tool is pin cushion. The use of pin cushion simply to hold needles and pins when not in use, like this. So it's important to know the different tools, equipment, utensils, and their proper uses to make sure the process more efficient and more easier. Wherein time, money, and effort will be saved if you know the proper function, and also you can make the best product. So that's all for today's video. I hope that you learned something. Thank you for watching!